Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to demonstrate how to prep some of my favorite root vegetables. I'm home a lot these days with all of the stay-at-home rules surrounding the quarantine. So I took advantage of some of the time to show and do some videos on some of the foods I really enjoy. Um, Malanga, this first one, is a big root vegetable. This one's actually pretty small. They come about 5, 6 times the size. This one's identifiable by its white flesh with these pinkish red little dots and flecks on the inside. A tiny hint of sweet flavor to this one. Not quite like a potato or a yam. It's actually more close to the taste of yucca, which is down here, but something different about it. Really nice. Yucca, or cassava, another favorite I grew up on, also has the white flesh on the inside, but a much thicker skin. And so the yucca tends to discourage people because it's a lot of work to remove this skin. I'm going to show you a really easy process to remove it because it really doesn't have to be that hard. And then we'll show you a stovetop recipe for both of these. It's real simple. You're just going to boil them in water for the most part. But root vegetables like this, dense root vegetable carbohydrates, can go a long way when paired with a full healthy protein that contains some naturally occurring fat, as well as some fruit on the side. You can really get a lot of mileage out of a meal when you include dense root vegetables, protein, and fruit all together. So these are some of my favorites, and hope you enjoy them. And keep an eye out for the next video, which is going to show the skinning process. So with the malanga here, you see this piece is already skinned. There are those red flecks you see everywhere that I was describing. Super easy stuff, right? Just in half, quartered, nothing, no problem. I'm gonna just cut these guys up. Simple stuff. No, I'm not a chef. I don't have that technique down. Maybe one day, right? We'll see. One of my favorite Latin jazz pianists, all-time favorite, Eddie Palmieri, sang about this or did a track about malanga in the 70s, and that's one of those all-time favorite, salsa records that can have you wagging your tail at a party. And basically he sang about malanga, this stuff. And anyway, all that to say is you'll cut it up like that. To skin this malanga, right, different from the yucca, not this one, we'll do that next time around. You cut it into these sort of barrel-shaped pieces, then just take the skin off like you would any other root. You could do this with carrots also, although you wouldn't use a carrot or a grater because the skin is a little too dense for that. You want to use a good knife, just cut vertically down to get that skin off. Pretty easy, not very tough. I find malanga is actually a lot easier to skin because it's much softer than yucca. But, and there you have it. That's the malanga. We're going to cut this guy up like this, and it'll go into a pot of water and boil. Here we go. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to skin a yucca, right? Or cassava. The thick skin is really tough, and you would never use a grater or any kind of a simple hand tool like you would for carrots or beets or things like that, because the skin on this thing is extremely tough. So you'll take one large knife like this, and what you're going to do is you're going to lightly press in and roll the yucca across the counter. And you're not going to go very deep with the cut. You're just going in a smidgen, maybe 1/8 of an inch maximum, because the skin only runs about that deep, and you're going to score or create score lines in a circumference around that yucca, right? You're just going to roll it across your counter while you hold the knife lightly to score that skin. And then what you're basically creating are 3 rings around the skin in one direction. Then with a smaller knife, like a paring knife or just something small, take the tip and go lengthwise, one end to the other, in 4 or 5 places, scoring it in the other direction, perpendicular to those first lines that you cut, right? What this is going to allow you to do, once again, only about 1/8 of an inch in, this creates a grid of score lines around the whole yucca. The reason for that is that now the skin can come off like nothing. You take a fork, you pry underneath one of your scored cubes, and it pops right off, just like that. It pops off very easily. You just pry underneath each one, and like puzzle pieces, the skin comes right off. Sometimes they get a little tougher. You know, there's some areas where the skin's a little more dense, but for the most part, as you can see, it peels right off very easily. Almost can do it with your fingers if you want, but I'm going to show what that looks like. And you see now we have a nice clean line, and there's that root vegetable inside. We're going to skin the rest of this, and then I'll show you some ways to prep. And there you go. Super easy when you do it this way. That's the yucca. Over here, I already pre-skinned this one. You can cut them into yucca fries, right? So this one will go in the oven, like baked potato fries. These will be baked yucca fries inside the oven. This one I'm going to cut into chunks, which will be boiled on the stove, which is another way to prep, and you'll see in a little bit. So now you can see we got that skin off the yucca. And for this piece, I'm just going to cut these rings or wheels. Just 5 of them. Be careful, it's pretty dense. You can easily take a finger off cutting this thing. This is again the yucca or cassava. Cutting them into half moons or quarters, right? I'm going to say we'll go with the half moons. These are going to be boiled up right here into a soft consistency. These are going to be roasted yucca fries, which will go in the oven. 2 different ways to make them. Super easy, and we'll get to that on the next go round. Okay, here we go with that malanga coming to a simmer or a boil. You can see it has those red flecks I was describing earlier. This will get really, really soft, almost to the point of mashed potatoes. If you keep stirring it, it thickens, they break apart, and you potentially can add a touch more water to them, and they almost turn into like a pink mashed potato consistency. Serve with some butter, salt and pepper, you're good to go. Unbelievable. Then we have those yucca strips or yucca fries, which are going to go into the oven down below. That glass pan is lined with refined coconut oil, a little bit more on top of the yucca itself, and seasoned to your liking with whatever you think you might enjoy putting over them. Then we have the yucca over here coming to a boil. This will take a bit longer. Yucca is a bit more dense. As you can see, it sinks. And you want to cook these till they're super soft, almost mushy, right? They won't spread out the way the malanga will into a mashed potato consistency, but you'll wait till these get really soft, and then you have boiled yucca. And when you serve it with some garlic butter or some olive oil and chopped garlic, or your liking of seasoning, really, it doesn't really matter. Go with your own taste. And that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this little root vegetable recipe. These are again some of my favorites. Old school Caribbean, Latin American healthy root vegetable varieties that can go a long way to giving you some sustenance when paired with a good quality protein and some fruit. Tropical fruit are my favorites. I'm told that they are the most nutrient dense of the fruits. And so, yeah, that's it. Enjoy. Hope these gave you some new ideas and some variety to add to your healthy choices. Be well. And here's that boiled malanga that I was showing on the previous video. See how it turns into sort of a puree or a cream in a way. It's kind of a consistency. It's even softer or more liquidy at the moment than a mashed potato would be. But you could serve this like a hot soup in a way if you season it up to your liking. You could even thicken it more, which I might do, but That's what malanga turns into. It's almost an oatmeal-like color in this light. And then we have those roasted yucca fries. This is the after version, after they were roasting for about an hour and 15 minutes or so at 400 degrees. Okay, you can go a little sooner. Again, only coconut oil. Now I'll drizzle some olive oil on top of those and they will be nice and tasty. But for in the hot oven, refined coconut oil. Okay. Thanks for watching, and if you're curious, you can always reach me at adamsapplenewyork@gmail.com.